All it takes is a matter of seconds. Within that short span, your vehicle can be gone.
Crime epidemic. So far in the city, 15,600 motor vehicle thefts, the highest in a decade.
You may forgive people if they mistake GTA to mean Grand Theft Auto, but for anyone who's been a victim, it's definitely not a game.
What you're witnessing is a relay attack, carried out by foot soldiers in an organized crime ring. It can take them less than 30 seconds to unlock and start the car, and it's a method that's on the rise. The number of cars stolen in the US in 2022 is expected to surpass 1 million for the first time since 2006, shattering previous records and leaving law enforcement struggling to keep up. It's not just high-end luxury vehicles that can fall victim either. Any car with keyless entry can quickly be taken using cheap RF relay and signal boosting equipment that's freely available on eBay or Amazon. However, stealing the car is considered the easy bit. What happens to a car after it disappears from your Nest camera's view at 3 a.m.? That's where the story really gets interesting. Welcome back, car nerds. This week we're going to take a dive into the murky and weird world of modern-day car theft and illegal vehicle exports, and how your car could end up being used for the school run in downtown Moscow or as an Uber in Nigeria. Make sure you watch to the end, as I'm going to give you some useful tips to keep your car safe from these relay attacks and other tried and tested methods that criminals use, such as compromising the onboard diagnostics port to clone new keys. Thieves using a relay attack are rarely operating alone, and are usually part of a wider organized criminal gang, targeting and stealing cars to order. Once the car's been taken from your driveway, it will likely be driven a short distance to a scheduled rendezvous point such as a parking lot, disused garage, or warehouse. The vehicle will be left for a day or two to ensure that a tracking device hasn't been activated and no one is coming for it. The next step in the crime syndicate's supply chain is for a team of fences to collect the car and take it to its next destination. This destination can vary depending on your location and the type of vehicle. In the past, it was common for cars to be moved to a backstreet chop shop.
Well, no, that Hummer motor right there is confirmed stolen. There's 2 filed off right there.
To strip the vehicle of its parts with the intention of selling them undetected online or through unscrupulous auto repair shops. According to the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, a skilled chop shop can strip a car of its major parts in as little as an hour, with the parts collectively being worth 2 to 4 times the value of the entire vehicle. However, as automotive software and hardware technology has advanced, it's become harder to resell a vehicle's components without any comeback. The car's unique 17-digit vehicle identification number, or VIN, is now engraved in as many as 30 locations on a car, including most of the high-ticket items, as well as digitally recorded on all the electronic control units for the infotainment system, gauge cluster, and ignition system, making it much easier to track a part back to the original vehicle it came from. Replacing parts can also require specialist dealer software to reprogram the vehicle's internal computer system before it recognizes changes. This increased complexity has reduced the number of vehicles being stolen solely for being chopped, with the majority of stolen cars remaining intact these days. The less organized criminals will try and sell the cars at a fraction of the market value on Facebook or Craigslist, with a fake title or without a title at all, to unsuspecting victims who naively believe they're getting a great deal. It's become easier than it used to be to quickly check if a vehicle has been reported stolen at no cost. You can enter the VIN on the National Insurance Crime Bureau website to check its status. You can also use our app Auto to look up vehicles using the license plate and get a full Carfax report. Just search Auto on the App Store or Google Play before buying a used car. Now, if you live on the southern border of the United States, the vehicle will likely be quickly moved across to Mexico. With very few checks of vehicles leaving the US, much of the time the car will be legally driven through a border crossing. At that point, the vehicle is gone and unlikely to be recovered. If you live on the eastern seaboard and within proximity to a major port, then it's a good bet that the vehicle will be driven into a shipping container and sent abroad on a cargo ship. US Customs recovered around 1,000 vehicles in 2020 from US ports, but this is likely a tiny fraction of the vehicles being shipped. With over 50 million shipping containers leaving major ports in the contiguous United States in that same year, US Customs can only inspect about 2%, or 1 million of those containers. And they generally focus on contraband such as drugs or weapons being imported into the US, not exported.
We're always happy when we're able to stop people from exporting stolen vehicles that don't belong to them and enforcing the laws.
So the odds are in the criminals' favor, and vehicles will usually only be recovered through intelligence gathering rather than random container checks. Some of the ever-expanding markets for stolen vehicles are West Africa and Russia. These used car lots in Lagos, Nigeria, will openly sell stolen cars, being so brazen as to keep the US or Canadian license plates or dealer badges on the vehicle. They will create fake shipping forms telling unsuspecting customers that the cars were legally imported and showing forged documentation to prove it. There's no shared international database of stolen vehicles, and no reciprocal arrangements between countries to recover them, which gives local police in these countries little information and no reason to seize them even if they do believe them to be stolen. The thieves really are home free at this point, and the new owners get a great deal on a Western car that they'll likely never have any legal problems with. When it comes to higher-end vehicles, Russia is top of the list with theft, a more socially acceptable way of acquiring a vehicle than in the US or Europe. After clearing customs, the container is typically taken to a warehouse or storage facility, where the vehicle is unloaded, cleaned, and prepared for sale. If it's a high-value car, the crime gang probably already has a buyer lined up before it even enters the country. So, who is buying these stolen cars in Russia? It's difficult to know for sure, but it's believed that many of the buyers are members of organized crime syndicates or wealthy individuals who are willing to pay a premium for a high-end stolen vehicle. With recent Ukraine sanctions coupled with supply chain delays, getting a legitimate luxury car in Russia is becoming increasingly difficult, which is fueling the market for imported stolen cars. The proceeds from these vehicles will inevitably go into other crime syndicates' coffers, funding criminal activity such as human trafficking, illegal arms, drugs, and terrorism. Now, what can you do to reduce the risk of your car being taken? The first solution is simple physical barriers. If you can park it in a garage, behind a gate, or out of sight of the street, these are easy things that will deter opportunists and encourage thieves to move on to an easier target. The relay attacks described earlier are fairly easy to protect against. Most manufacturers allow you to disable keyless entry using a sequence of button pushes on the key fob. This will force you to press the unlock button on the fob to unlock the vehicle, rather than just opening when you walk up to it. If you'd prefer not to disable any features on your car, then a great option is to get yourself a Faraday box. You could pick one up for $15 or $20 from Amazon. And when you're not using the car, just drop your keys into the Faraday box and it will stop any radio communications penetrating through the box, stopping relay attackers in their tracks. Another popular and tried and tested method used by criminals is to break into the car with a Slim Jim or by simply breaking the window. Every car has a diagnostics port under the dashboard, called the OBD port. This is used to diagnose faults with the vehicle. It can also be used to generate a code that allows locksmiths to create new keys by plugging in a device called an Auto Pro pad. This takes just a few minutes, but thieves can plug the device in and create a copy of your key while they sit in the car on your driveway and drive away without causing any further damage to the car. One popular method to prevent this type of attack is to install a secret kill switch on your car that shuts off power to the entire car or just the ignition system. This will render the car immobilized until the switch, usually positioned somewhere only you know about, is turned on. It does depend on you remembering to turn the switch off when the car isn't in use, but it's an excellent way to inconvenience a thief who will give up and move on to another vehicle. What are your thoughts? Do you think manufacturers should be doing more to lock down keyless entry and start systems? Is keyless entry just an unnecessary gimmick using technology for technology's sake, at the expense of security? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this interesting and useful. I publish a new video every week, so don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.